Hey there, MG here. Welcome back to the Toy Box. Today, I'm working on a chainsaw. This toy is not working. I pulled this thing out the other day to try and process some firewood. Couldn't get it started. I did a little bit of investigating. What I found was that I have a leak in the fuel line. It's sucking air into the fuel line instead of fuel from the fuel tank. If you've ever tried to take a drink through a broken straw, it's the same idea. So once I figured out the part that I needed, I ordered it online. And this kit came from Amazon, about $15, and it has all the stuff I need. Let's take a look. This kit comes with a replacement air filter, fuel line, that's the part that I needed, fuel filter, spark plug, and a couple extra parts for a different model saw. So the first step, we're going to take off the cover, and then we'll remove the air filter. We've got two 5/16 nuts. Before we can remove the carburetor, we have to remove the linkage on the choke and the throttle. The easiest way I've found to remove the linkage on the choke is to set the choke on, and then we can pull this just out straight to the side. To remove the linkage to the throttle, we pull this forward and just pop that right out of there, and it unhooks from this hook on the throttle arm on the carburetor. Next, we'll remove this rubber boot that covers the holes for the carburetor adjustment. We just slide this back a little bit on the screws, and this will pop right off and pull back out of the way. And the last step to get the carburetor off is to remove the fuel hose from the inlet. Pull that off. And now the carburetor should be able to pull back off of those screws and off of the saw. There we go. In here, we also have a gasket that we need to carefully pull out because we'll need this later when we put it all back together. Last week when I did my initial investigation, I took the carburetor apart to make sure it wasn't gummed up. I used a little bit of carburetor cleaner to touch up a few spots and make sure the passageways were clear. But other than that, the carburetor looked great on the inside, so I'm not going to bother to take the carburetor all apart to show you how that looks on the inside. We might save that for another video someday. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not in the video. A fuel tube runs down inside the tank with a fuel filter on the end of it. I need to pull that out and get it started coming through the end of the tank. I'm just going to use an Allen wrench. We're going to reach in there and grab that fuel line and pull it over towards the door. Now that I've got the fuel filter pulled part way out, we're going to have to push this fitting down through the top of the tank so that we can pull the whole thing out from the side. And there's the old one. Where it was leaking was right here, and you can see there's a hole right in the side of it. So I have the new parts here now, of the new fuel filter and the new fuel line. I'm going to go ahead and get this pushed into the spot in the tank, and then we'll get the filter put on through the opening in the side of the tank again. Then we just have to reseat it with the screwdriver. Now that we've got this seated from the top, I'm going to reach in here with this Allen wrench again, and we'll pull out the hose. To make it easier to install the fuel filter, I'm going to take a little bit of motor oil and apply it here before I insert it into the fuel line. Once you get a hold of this thing, don't let go. Push that on there, feed it back inside, back where it belongs. And now we put it back together in reverse order, starting with the gasket. So we'll hook the throttle linkage back up to the throttle arm. And then we'll press it into the trigger. Now we'll insert the choke linkage. Activate the choke. And this should push right straight in from the side. Now we have the boot that covers up all the carburetor adjustment screws. Slide that on there. Put it back into place. The air intake goes on next. And we secure it with the nuts. Before I put the air filter back on, I'm going to pull this off so we can get to the spark plug. We're going to replace the spark plug as well. Now to get the new one popped in. All back together, let's put some fuel in it and see. Since I don't use this chainsaw very often, I'm going to try this time. It's expensive, but for as little as I use this saw, I think having this in there is going to work better than regular fuel with fuel stabilizer. So I'm going to give this a shot and we'll see if it starts. Now to see if this works. Ooh, hey. I'm going to call that a victory. I've got wood to go cut, so until next time, go play with your toys.